Hello people, I'm the Comic Book Gamer, and today I'm going to be doing my spoiler discussion for Star Wars The Last Jedi. So if you haven't seen it, there's your spoiler warning. Do not watch this video. I'm going to be spoiling everything. So this video is not going to have a whole lot of structure to it. I'm just going to be talking about whatever I feel like in order of it popping into my head, because that's how I wrote down the notes for this video, which is however it popped in my head. That's how I wrote down the notes. It wasn't in any order of like, this is how it happened in the movie. No, it wasn't like that. So anyways, let's start off with Luke, and the one thing I really didn't like about Luke, because going into this, I was really excited for Luke because he's my second favorite Star Wars character of all time, right behind Obi-Wan, but I wasn't expecting a whole lot from him because J.J. Abrams had set up a terrible storyline for Luke and stuff that didn't match his character at all, and just I'm not a big fan of the path that J.J. Abrams had set Luke on, because Luke, like Mark Hamill has said a billion times in interviews, is the most hopeful, optimistic guy in the galaxy, and has been through so much bad crap, and then he has one bad day, and he's like, oh man, I'm just gonna leave the rebellion, leave my sister, and my best friend, and my nephew, who's now turned, and I'm just gonna go sit on an island. That does not match up with Luke at all. All the crap he's been through, like all the terrible, devastating things. Finding out like the second most evil guy in the universe is your father after he had just cut off your hand, and it's turning out his regime had murdered your aunt and uncle, who were basically your parents. Yeah, that wasn't enough to make Luke go and run away, but his nephew turns and he's like, "Oh man, I'm just gonna quit." It's like that just doesn't line up with Luke at all. So in this movie, I was like, Rian Johnson has a lot to fix. I don't think he's going to be able to do it, but I'm hopeful because I loved Looper, so I had some faith in Rian Johnson. He did good with Luke for the most part. I like most of what happened with Luke, besides a few things. The main thing being when Luke is sitting there, like acting out the action of killing his nephew. Luke never would have gotten that far with it. He never, like, I could see it maybe being like a fleeting something in his head, just like he's sitting there one day and he realizes what's going on with Kylie. He's like, man, what if I kill him? Yeah, I shouldn't do that. And that's it. He wouldn't take it as far as, I'm going to go sit over his bed, ignite the lightsaber, and think about killing him. No, it would never go that far. I doubt Luke would ever even have the thought, but if he did, I could see it happening, just being like, oh, man, I could end this all now, but I'm not going to. Like, something like that, not just igniting the lightsaber over his bed. That was just, it's like, this isn't Luke at all, and this is pre-damaged Luke, too. This is post Return of the Jedi, pre-damaged Luke. So this is the Return of the Jedi Luke we know. He's just a bit older. So this is that Luke. This guy never would have done that. There's no excuse of, oh, he's damaged because of everything that's happened. You don't have that excuse now because this is the Luke we all know and love. But he decided to almost kill his nephew? What? That doesn't, it doesn't make any sense at all. And some other things with Luke that I'm not the biggest fan of. Well, I like the idea of him being like the Jedi should end, like he realizes what the Force is and how it doesn't belong to the light or the dark. There needs to be a balance, and the Jedi and the Sith are both a mistake. I was like, oh, that's a cool storyline. Too bad they didn't do anything with it, because in the end, Luke's like, yeah, Jedi are good. Raise the next Jedi. She'll lead like a new generation. I'm dead. It was like, what? What? In the beginning of the movie, he's just like, yeah, Jedi should end, the Force is its own thing. It's not good, or there's no like light side, bad side thing. There needs to be a balance. But in the end, he's like, oh yeah, actually the Jedi are in the right, and the Sith are in the wrong. So yeah, Kylo raised the good one. And it's like, that completely defeats everything that was done earlier in this movie, and I hate that, especially because earlier, like when he's training Rey and he's talking about everything, it's like, oh, he's not a Jedi or Sith now. He's just with the Force. But then it turns out, no. He disconnected himself from the Force. It's like, that's so stupid. Why did he disconnect himself from the Force? I thought he realized that it's the Sith and the Jedi are bad. It's the people that had sort of perverted the Force. It wasn't the Force being bad. It was the people and what they had done with it. But no, he disconnected himself from the Force because he just figured everything was bad. That was stupid. There's a lot of stuff like that in this movie where, I said this in my non-spoiler review, where one step forward, one step back. There's a lot of setup for cool stuff that then just gets derailed. Just things that like, oh, that would be cool. Oh, okay. There's a whole lot of that in this movie, and one of those things is the Jedi should end. It's cool, I like the concept of it, but then in the end, he's just like, oh yeah, Rey's gonna be the next Jedi. She's got this, we see that she took the sacred Jedi text, so she's got everything to restart the Jedi. It's so stupid. Also, why did Luke leave a map if he was just there to die? He says, I came here to die. It's like, you left a map inside of R2 for a reason. You could have destroyed that, but no. Instead, you left the map inside R2. That makes no sense. Why did he do that? And besides the stuff that I just mentioned, I generally liked Luke overall. I liked his perspective on things about about how the Jedi need to end, and Mark Hamill absolutely killed it, and he did some pretty cool stuff in the end. But actually, let's talk about that ending real quick. Ending where Luke dies. So, I just want to give my thoughts on this. So, I'm very 50-50 about it. I like some of it. I don't like other parts about it. When he shows up with Leia and they have that little conversation, she's like, I know what you're going to say. I changed my hair. I love that line. It's great. It's so Leia, and I love them two smiling. And then I love seeing Luke walking past the C-3PO, and C-3PO going, Master Skywalker, and then he winks at him. It's like, oh, that's so great. And then you have their face-off in the final battle, which I was looking forward to, and then it's nothing, especially because he tells Leia, he's like, I'm here to face him. It's like, no, you're not. You're not actually there to face him. You're just, your force projection is there. You're not there. And it's kind of cool that Luke has the ability to do that. He's able to do that, and then he just dies. It's another one of those setup things where it's like, it's set up really well, and then just done, and then just derailed, because it's like, oh man, that's cool what Luke was able to do. And it's like, it turns out Luke's not actually gonna die. We're gonna see Luke in episode 9. It's like, man, I can't wait. And then he just dies. It's like, wait, we just had this really awesome thing. I can't wait to see what Luke can do next. He even says, see you around, kid. And now it turns out, oh yeah, we're just gonna have him as a Force Ghost in episode 9. Because now it's guaranteed he's going to be a Force Ghost in episode 9. Of course they're going to do that. You know there's no way they're not going to. It's so stupid because, again, it was a good setup. I liked everything that was going on. And I was like, oh man, Luke just did that. That shows you how insanely powerful he is. Can't wait to see what he does in episode 9. Oh, now he's one with the Force. And then I hated the fact that they had like a 2-minute scene or whatever of Daisy Ridley, of Rey explaining that Luke went peacefully. It's like, I know, we could see that Luke finally went peacefully. We saw that thing with the twin sons. I was fine with that. I like that. But Rey's just like, he's gone. I said peace and peacefulness, not... Okay, that's my amazing British accent, by the way. But it's like, peacefulness, not anger or suffering. It's like, yeah, we know. We just saw. Shut up. We don't need this stupid scene of you explaining everything. It's very 50-50 on that. I like the way the twin sons came up and you saw Luke, like, pass. I was fine with that. It's just the fact that I felt like it could have done much better. I wish he was actually there to face Kylo. I wanted more Luke and Kylo moments also. Like, I felt like we should have gotten more of that besides just the ending. Because it felt kind of cheap that Luke wasn't there. Because Luke's like, I'm here to face him. It's like, no, you weren't. You just straight up lied to Leia. You weren't actually there to face him. You weren't there. I get the fact that, he's the spark that'll start the rebellion, that'll get everyone. Because everyone's already talking about it all over the universe. Like those kids on Canto, Bight or Bright or whatever it's called. And so he's already sort of restarted the rebellion. Everyone's going to join him now because of the stories of Luke. But I mean, if you have a lot of stuff you're investing in the rebellion, wouldn't you be like, hey, I want to meet this guy that survived all those AT-AT attacks in Kylo Ren. But I want to meet him. They're like, oh, he's dead. Oh, I have no faith in your rebellions. Bye. Like, wouldn't that be it? Like, now that Luke is dead, I don't know if it's going to restart your resistance or your rebellion or whatever so well. So yeah, Luke's death, I was extremely disappointed with. Now, besides Luke's death and everything else I mentioned, I like Luke in this movie. I like seeing his perspective on how the Jedi should end. I love his scene with Yoda. I really loved Mark Hamill's performance. Seeing him and Yoda together again was great, especially Empire Strikes Back style Yoda, because he was puppet Yoda. When he first showed up, he did look weird, but then after like a minute, he looked fine. I think it was just like maybe the blue glow or something that looked weird. It was weird, because when he first showed up, I'm like, he looks awful. I noticed it was puppet Yoda. I was like, he looks awful. And then like a scene later, I'm like, oh, he looks fine. Why did he look so bad when he first showed up? I don't know why. He just looked weird when he first showed up. But he had some of the best dialogue in the movie. And that's actually a complaint I have with the movie, is the fact that all the memorable dialogue is in the trailers. Besides, like, a couple characters that have some good dialogue. Like, the let the past die, kill it if you have to. I love that line from Kylo. It's great. But it's in the trailers. Breathe, just breathe, all that stuff, like everything, it's time for the Jedi to end, all that is in the trailers. But there was some pretty good memorable dialogue with Yoda. I liked what he was saying, where he was like, missed you, I have Skywalker, and stuff like that. It was great, and he was teaching him about failure, and I really love that. I love / hated the tease. It got me in the theater when Luke takes that torch that it looks like his Return of the Jedi lightsaber, because it's in the dark. It's like, oh man, he's got it, and then he turns on, it's a flame. I was like, I was so mad, because I was so happy in theater. I was like, yes, it's Return of the Jedi lightsaber. And then no, it's just a torch. It's just a space torch. So disappointed. But anyways, another character who I thought had good dialogue was DJ. I actually like DJ's dialogue, who is Benicio del Toro's character, if you don't remember his name in the movie, because I don't blame you. No one really remembered his name. I just remembered it because it's very simple, DJ. So DJ was an okay character. I would have liked to see a lot more from him. Like, he wasn't a good character. He wasn't a bad character. He's a lot like the movie. He was just okay. I just wanted more from him. I thought he had some good dialogue, though, where he's like, where he's showing him who the guy's traded to. And he's like, good guys, bad guys. What's really the difference? When he's like, take my advice, Finn, don't join up. Or later, when he was like, you blow them up today, they blow you up tomorrow or whatever. No, he's like, they blow you up today, you blow them up tomorrow. And then when Finn was like, they're the bad guys stuff, he was like, no, you're wrong, we're good, they're bad. He's like, maybe. I liked how his character thought about that stuff and like his dialogue. I thought he had some of the most memorable dialogue in the movie. Too bad he wasn't in the movie very much and didn't really do a whole lot. So now let's talk about some of the things I was talking about earlier where I said there's a lot of setup and then it just gets derailed. So some of those things are Finn is going to sacrifice himself so everyone can live. And I love this scene. I was like, holy crap, I actually really like Finn right now. I like what he's doing. I like his decision making. It makes sense. They don't know that Luke is coming or the Millennium Falcon is coming, so in their minds, this is literally the only option. It's not like earlier with Poe where they could have retreated and been fine with the bombers. No, here there is literally only one option. That's it. You have no other option. So I'm like, oh man, this is a heroic sacrifice. Finn's going to die. And then Rose, the worst character in the entire movie, comes out of nowhere and just saves him, which makes no sense because if you look at it, everyone turns off except for Finn, and Finn like sets his to like full blast, like going max speed, and so he's ahead of everyone, but she catches him somehow and risks killing both of them to save him, and then gives some of the worst dialogue in the entire movie where that's how we're gonna win this war. It's not about fighting those you hate. It's about saving those you love. That's how we're gonna win this war, silly. And then kisses him. And John Boyega, everyone's pointing this out. Like Finn, his face in the movie is just like he's so weirded out when she kisses him. Especially because before that, there's no romantic feeling between the two. There was nothing. There was no attraction there. No one felt that at all. You feel it a little bit between Finn and Rey, but not between these two. Like none at all. But they did it, and it was so stupid. But anyways, that was just one of the many things I'm going to talk about some more that they set up that just got derailed because it's like, oh, this is cool, this is taking a risk, Finn's going to die in the second movie by sacrificing himself for the rebellion, he'll be a legend. But no, he gets derailed by the worst character in the movie. And then you have Kylo might turn good or Rey might turn bad. Who's going to turn? Oh, neither of them. Yep, they're both the same. They're both like the same as they were in the beginning of the movie. And then you have Kylo betray Snoke, which is actually pretty cool and unpredictable. And they team up to take down his Praetorian Guards, which is the coolest and like the only good action scene in the entire movie. The rest of the action is whatever. That's the only scene when this movie comes out that you're gonna search up on YouTube to watch. That's the only scene. As far as action scenes go, there's no other action scene that you're gonna be like, oh man, I really want to see the beginning where Poe takes out some TIE fighters, or I want to see that Canto Bight chase. No, you don't care about any of that. This is the only scene afterwards that you're gonna like search up on YouTube. That scene was amazing, and I love the action. It was so badass, and I also really liked about one of the things I really liked about it was I noticed the second time, not the first time I watched the movie, because I've seen it twice, because I need to see it twice for my like spoiler review. And like with these movies, I just really need to go in a second time without any expectations, knowing what's gonna happen. And I thought it might change my mind, but it didn't. But anyways, one of the big things was when the first time I saw it, I was like, how come Kylo needed help, but Rey was just able to beat the Praetorian Guards without like any help? Then I realized the second time watching it, Kylo is taking on 3 of those guys while Rey is struggling with 1. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like it was so cool. It was like it actually makes more sense there how Rey is struggling with 1 while Kylo's taking on 3 of them, and he kills 2 of them. He just needs help with the 3rd. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I like that. And that fight was badass. It didn't really make sense how Rey killed the last guy because she's like being held there, like being sort of choked, and she just drops her lightsaber and then does that. And it was a cool looking move, but it made no sense because dropping her lightsaber doesn't change anything. The guy's still holding her. So why doesn't he just keep holding her when she drops her lightsaber? Why is he just like, oh, I'm just going to let her go? That made no sense. It was a cool move, but it made no sense how she was able to get out of like the hold or whatever. It's quite stupid. But anyways, that was another one of the cool setups that was wasted because you have these two that team up to take down the Praetorian Guards and take down Snoke. And it's like, oh man, are they going to start a new faction of their own? Be something different than the Jedi and Sith? Sort of like Luke was talking about earlier. And he's like, join me, please. He's like, you're nothing in this world, but you're not nothing to me. And it's like, oh man, this is great. And then Rey's like, nah, because I'm perfect in every single way. So I'm just going to, no. And it's like, okay, that's another cool setup that was just wasted. And then you have the other thing that I mentioned before, where Luke says it's time for the Jedi to end, but nope, it's not really. Luke realizes, hey, the Jedi are all cool again. Rey's gonna be the last Jedi, and I'm fine with that. So there's so many things in this movie that are set up that are just wasted. Now let's talk about some of the rebellion plot lines. So everything going on with Poe and all of them, and Leia and Admiral Holdo, I think was her name. Yeah. So during this whole plot line, if you like take a shot every time they say fuel, you will die of alcohol poisoning. I don't know how many times fuel is said, but it's gotta be like close to 100. Just every 2 seconds, fuel, 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 fuel. We're running out of fuel. They don't have enough fuel. They can't jump because of fuel. Oh my gosh, no one cared about this plotline. It's another plotline that was stupid. Like, I liked pretty much everything going on with Kylo, Rey, Luke, and Snoke. I liked pretty much all that stuff, but this stuff and the Canto Bight stuff was just terrible and did not need to be in the movie. There's just so much crap I didn't like about it. So when Kylo comes out and it looks like he's gonna kill his mother, but then he's like, no, I'm not gonna kill Leia, and then his wingmen do it, I was like, oh man, the balls on this. Another thing that was set up to be cool that failed in the end, but anyways, that was like the balls in this movie. This is awesome. I can't believe it. I'm kind of sad that we only got like 5 minutes of Leia, but at the same time, it was worth it because of what this movie did. And I made a video like a month ago talking about how like comic movies can do death better because there's too many of the, you know, like the person gets shot and you're holding them in your arms and they're getting their last words out and then they die. And I wanted more like quick deaths, like just, oh, you're with your, oh, bam, they get shot in the head. It was like, holy crap, didn't see that coming. That's what this was. It was out of nowhere. Leia gets blasted off into space and is dead. I was like, holy crap, that was insanely good. That's war right there. Holy crap. And then they undo it because she flies through space like Superman. She literally is sitting there and then she opens her eyes and just flies back, knocks on the door. Is like, hey guys, I'm out here. You should let me in. What? I get that Leia has the Force, and I like that they would. I would like for them to expand on that. That she would have figured out how to do some things with the Force in all her years, and she is Force sensitive. But this is not a way to show it. Not at all. Especially because not only would she be dead from, you know, sitting out in space for that long, but many other reasons as well, such as the shockwave from the blast or all the shrapnel. But instead, nah, she's just perfectly fine. It's another thing that I hate about this new saga is the fact that if you can't explain something, just say the Force. That's what the entirety of the Force Awakens is. It's just the Force because it awoken in Rey, so she can do literally everything because the Force, and that's why everything. It's like a lightsaber called to her. It's like a lightsaber, an object has never a lightsaber has never called to anyone. When has a lightsaber called to anyone ever? That makes no sense. But it's like the lightsaber called to you. It's like, why? 'Cause the Force. Why is she able to beat Kylo? Because remember when they sit there locking lightsabers for 39 seconds and she closed her eyes? She accepted the Force. It's like, but Anakin is more powerful than anyone in the Force, and he got his ass kicked in multiple lightsaber fights. Well, the Force, it's like, you can't do that for everything, but that's what they do in this new trilogy. Anytime they need to explain anything, the Force. Anyways, Poe, I kind of liked the idea they were going for with the storyline where, you know, Poe as a character is sort of like a gun. You point him in a direction and you fire and he'll get it done. He'll go and like, kill some people and destroy stuff. Like they said, you know, permission to jump in an X-Wing and blow stuff up. It's like, that's what he does. So I liked him trying to like be something more than that, progress to being a leader, be something a little more than just, you know, a weapon of destruction. I liked the idea, but the execution was terrible. Because in the beginning, it was like, okay, you see how he screwed up. He should not have done what he did. But then later on, when Admiral Holdo is just not telling him the plan, you understand where he's coming from. And later, Leia's like, she was more concerned with saving people than being a hero. It's like, he wasn't trying to be a hero. He was trying to save people too, because in his point of view, Admiral Holdo was just trying to get everyone killed, and he's just like, what is going on? We need to survive. Like, you understand where Poe's coming from. Poe's like, I don't want everyone to die. Like, I want to live, and I think everyone else wants to live too. You are literally being a traitor right now with the crap you're doing. So I would be like, if I was on that ship, I'd be 100% on board with Poe. Why didn't she just explain it to him? She'd be like, oh yeah, that we're going down to this planet called Crate. It looks pretty cool. They shouldn't notice because of our small transports. They'll be tracking the big one, and I'll be flying it to distract them. They'll be like, oh, cool. That works. Also, is there not autopilot? Like, why did Admiral Holdo have to be there? Also, they act like you care about Admiral Holdo when no one did at all. Even people I see that love this movie did not care about that character whatsoever. You have that moment with her and Leia where Leia's like, no, I've had too many losses today, and they have "May the Force be with you." They say that at the same time, Jinx, and all that crap, and they just start giggling, and it's so, oh my gosh, it's so stupid. And you don't care about this character at all. So here, it doesn't make sense. It would have made more sense if Leia did it for her sacrifice, or if Admiral Akbar had survived earlier and done it, because Admiral Akbar is like a footnote in this movie. Literally, like, you don't even realize he died until later on when, like, the lady with the gigantic nose is like, Admiral Akbar died, and it's like, oh man, Admiral Akbar died? It's like, dang, why? No, he was such a cool character. He's like a cool side character that is a legend in Star Wars. But nah, he just died. Instead, we have purple hair lady. She should have died on the bridge. She should have been one of them there that died, and Admiral Akbar should have survived, and he should have been the one to do the sacrifice, him or Leia. It would have made way more sense, and it would have been so much more touching when that happened and added more to it, because when it happened, everyone was like, oh man, that's so cool, because the scene where it happens is awesome. I love the way it's shot. It looks so cool when they go through light speed and like take everyone out. It looked awesome, but you didn't care about the person dying. Everyone was like, this looks cool. No one cared about the person dying at all, because no one cared about Admiral Holdo. Also, like, as cool as that scene looked, I'm not the biggest fan of it, because now anytime anyone is in danger in like a ship or something, it would be like, just go light speed and kill him. Like, why hasn't, I'm pretty sure the Rebel could have some people that would volunteer to be like kamikazes. Like, I'm pretty sure they would do that, and that would be, apparently it's really effective. Why, you could just have a bunch of kamikazes now, since apparently all like Imperial fleets are vulnerable to that. Just, go straight through them. That works, apparently. But yeah, just overall, I like the idea of what they're trying to do with Finn, but I was not a fan of the execution of it, and that storyline was just very boring and just repetitive. Now let's talk about the Finn and Rose stuff. So Rose is the worst character in this movie. I said in my spoiler-free review that if you removed her from this movie, the movie would objectively be better, and I still 100% agree with that. She does not further the plot whatsoever in any way, at all. That's like, she doesn't. There's nothing she does that that helps further the plot in this movie. She hinders it, in fact. When they're on the planet to go find this guy, instead of going to find the guy, they decide, hey, look how bad. Also, what was with that? What was with the whole like social commentary on, look at how bad these people are making money from doing bad things, and also look at all these horses that are being mistreated. It's like, what did Ryan Johnson go like a derby and watch some horses race and be very upset about it, and he decided to put a whole thing in a movie about it? Like, what was the point of that? It took like 20 minutes of the movie. It felt like hours, but I think it was like maybe 20 minutes of the movie, and it was so stupid, and everything with Rose was just stupid, and she just derailed the movie. She didn't do anything good, and then in the end, when Finn's actually going to do something interesting, she's like, no, because I have to ruin everything in this movie. Anything that's good, I must try and ruin it. That's what Rose is there for. And then, of course, she survived. By the way, that makes no sense, because the whole time Luke and Kylo are having their face off, Finn's just over there, like, booking it with holding, dragging Rose. Apparently that's what's going on. So that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I wish they would have just gotten blasted by an AT-AT, just like, that would have been pretty great. I would have loved also for the end, like, if Luke was actually there. You imagine how cool it would be if he, like, turned the Death Star battering ram into the AT-ATs and destroyed them. That'd be so sick. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to do a video later on talking about how I'd fix The Last Jedi, things I would change, but this video is just more about what I liked and didn't like, more spoilery type stuff. But yeah, their plot was just terrible. Pretty much everyone unanimously agrees that their plot was terrible. I see some people that love Rose as a character. I personally hate her, though. I think she's terrible. I think she doesn't add anything to the movie. All she does is take away, and I wish she would just be dead. I don't like her in this movie at all. And another part of their side plot is the fact that BB-8 is like the new Mary Sue. He can just do whatever. He can do anything. Like, anytime any character's in a tough situation, he'll just save him. He knocks out all the guards for him. He steals a ship for him. He takes the AT-ST to kill a bunch of people to free him, and then he's their ride out of there with the AT-ST. He can do anything. He's just like, when R2 did it, it made more sense. Like, it was set up for R2 to help, but in this, they try to surprise you with it, which makes like no sense. Like, in the other ones, they would contact R2, like when they're in the when they're stuck in the trash compactor, and they're like, help us. They're like, 3PO, help us, and R2's like hacking it and trying to help them. Or same in like in Revenge of the Sith when they're like in the elevator, and they don't even really need it because he saw Anakin could do it, but Obi-Wan wanted to do it the easy way, and he's like, hey, R2, just, help us move this elevator. But in this, BB-8 can do literally anything, and I like BB-8. Here's one of the parts of The Force Awakens that I liked, but he can do anything. And also, something I don't like is how Rey's inheriting everything. She's inheriting literally everything from the old characters. She's got the Millennium Falcon, she's got Luke's lightsaber, she's got Chewbacca, and she's got R2. And now she's got all the sacred Jedi texts as well. She's inheriting everything from the old characters. It's like, why? Why can't she, like, have new stuff? Why she's got to inherit everything? Why every time I look at her do I have to be reminded of much better characters? Like, every time I look at her, I'm going to think of Han because she's in the Millennium Falcon, Luke because she's got his lightsaber, and she's got R2 and Chewbacca, and she's like, why is she inherit? Why is she taking everything? It's like, that's like Disney's way of, like, spitting in the fan's face. Like, you like these characters? We killed them off and gave all their stuff to Rey. That's how I feel about this. That's how I feel like they're doing it. Like, they're like that's Kathleen Kennedy just sitting back cackling, laughing. Like, you like these characters? Well, they were straight white males, and those don't exist with Disney. So we killed them all off and gave them to Rey. But that being said, I liked Rey in this movie. I actually did. I saw where she was coming from. There's still some stuff I have problems with, but I liked Rey in this movie. Like I said earlier, pretty much everything to do with Luke, Rey, Kylo, and Snoke, I liked. Besides, the Luke stuff that I had big problems with that I mentioned earlier, I liked most stuff of them. I liked the Rey and Luke dynamic. I liked, now, she did have too quick of a 180 in my opinion, of being like, you're a monster, you kill people, and then being like, he can be turned. It was like, that was a bit too quick in my opinion, but it wasn't the biggest gripe. That didn't make a whole lot of sense. But I loved their moments when they're Force Skyping. I love seeing these two because, they're the sort of the small players in it, but at the same time they're the big players in the movie. And what I mean by that is they're sort of the pawns, I guess. Like, Kylo's the pawn of Snoke, and at this point Rey is sort of the pawn of, like, the Resistance and Luke. And but they're like big players, like they need them, and so when they're talking to each other, they're like, man, this is just a bunch of BS. I wish there's someone that understood me. Oh wait, you understand me, and all this stuff. And I love seeing them talk to each other, and I thought it was great. I loved those scenes, and what it all led up to with that climax in the throne room with Snoke, I love it. And I love Snoke in this movie. Snoke was really cool. I love, like, Andy Serkis gave it his all and absolutely killed it as Snoke. Like, he did amazing. I just wish there was more Snoke. I'm fine with Snoke dying. I know a lot of people are like, but he was set up so big in The Force Awakens. Like, not really. And I was fine. Like, that was your expectations pretty much getting the best of you there. Like, I wouldn't really say that was the movie's fault here. But because I was fine with what happened with Snoke. I was actually happy about it. I was like, oh, that's actually something the movie did that took some guts. I liked what they did there. And I thought it was really well done with the whole everything that happened with Snoke. But I just wanted more Snoke because he was so cool. And a lot of people are like, how come if he can sense everything, he couldn't sense Kylo turning on him? Palpatine couldn't sense Vader turning on him either when he takes him and throws him down the Death Star shaft. So, it's just it's a thing with Darkseid guys. They let all the power go to their head where they think they know everything, but they don't. And so I was fine with it. But yeah, Kylo also, I loved pretty much everything about him in this movie up until towards the end, because I loved what Kylo was doing. I loved how he's finally taking control and not like he realized his problem was that he was listening to other people. He listened to Luke, Luke let him down. He listened to Snoke, Snoke let him down and just used him. And he's like, okay, now it's just time for me to be the leader. It's time for me to take control. And I liked that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But then he goes back to being sort of like whiny, just whiny Kylo. He wasn't the Kylo that I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be finally in control, badass Kylo. I thought he was going to, like, get his helmet back, like, recreate a helmet and be like, yeah, this was something that Snoke was against. I like the helmet, and just put it on as a symbol of, like, yeah, screw you, Snoke, you're dead now. What are you going to do about it? I was hoping he'd get the helmet back and he'd be very much in control and he'd be more, like, Vader-like. But no, he goes back to being whiny Kylo, and he doesn't really know how to do anything other than throw Hux around, and Hux was terrible in this movie. Hux is just a complete joke, which is a shame because Domhnall Gleeson is a great actor, but in this, he's just a parody. That's all he is. I love that Dreadnought captain, by the way. That dude that was the leader of the Dreadnought reminded me of the old school officers in the original trilogy. That dude was awesome. I wish they had replaced Hux with him, but anyways, he's dead now, so that's not gonna work. But yeah, I really like Kylo in this movie. He was my favorite character in the movie that wasn't from the original trilogy, because my favorite character is gonna be Luke, because I kind of have a bias there. But yeah, I loved Kylo in this movie, which is surprising because in the last movie I wasn't his biggest fan, but in this I really loved Kylo. He was pretty cool. There's not much I haven't talked about yet. We talk about the Phasma thing real quick. I liked the fight for the 2 seconds that it lasted, but it was way too quick and it was built up too much in the trailers and in this, and it was just it was whatever, and then she just dies. I'm hoping she's dead now. Oh yeah, also I haven't talked about Rey's parents. There's actually a lot of stuff in The Force Awakens that's set up that in this movie is just completely just like, yeah, screw you, J.J. Abrams. I know you wanted to go somewhere with it, but I'm just gonna completely take it and go somewhere else, which I was fine with, to be honest. I was 100% fine with most of that stuff that he did, besides two things. So the things I was fine with was I was fine with him killing Snoke and not explaining where Snoke came from. I was fine with that, honestly, even though, like, you know, his face looks like a mystery. Like, how did he get so deformed and things like that? How did he get into power? I would have been fine with that stuff being explained, but I'm fine with it being explained like a comic book or something. That's fine with me. And then you have Rey's parents, where it turns out they're just normal smugglers. I was like, yes, thank God she's not a Skywalker, because I actually made 3 predictions right before the movie started when we were sitting in our seats. One of my predictions was that Rey was a Skywalker. I was wrong about that. My other 2 predictions were right. I said Luke was gonna die, and I said Snoke was gonna die. So I was 2 for 3 on my predictions for this movie. So I was happy that she wasn't a Skywalker. I was like, thank God, she's just a normal junk trader. That was fine with me. But there were 2 things that I was a little upset about that were set up that they didn't do, which is, one, in the last movie, he's like, it's time to come and complete your training, Kylo, and in this, there's none of that. Like, it takes place right after The Force Awakens, but there's no Kylo completing his training in any way whatsoever. Like, there's nothing of that. It's like, okay, so he hasn't advanced at all. And then you have the flashbacks that were set up in the last one with the Knights of Ren and how he killed all of Luke's students, but in this, we don't see anything of the Knights of Ren, and there's not really anything of the flashbacks other than like the 2 seconds that we see Luke standing over his bed. So that's the only stuff that from The Force Awakens that was set up that I wasn't a big fan of that they did in this movie. The other stuff that was set up that they like destroyed, I was fine with. I was like, this is great. This was a good way. This was the good way to subvert people's expectations. Oh, you think Rey comes from this big lineage, like she's a Skywalker, Kenobi, whatever? Nope. Turns out she's just a normal person. And you have Snoke, who, oh, you think he's going to do all this amazing stuff? We're going to explain every little thing about his backstory. Oh, we killed him. And I was like, I was actually fine with that. I know a lot of people weren't, but I was fine with that. I think the last thing I want to talk about is Rey for a second. Talk about the fact that she still has, like, no training and is amazing at everything. In this movie, she didn't really have as much of an opportunity to be, like, this all-powerful character. And in the throne room, she actually struggled with that one guy, so they did much better. They did nerf her compared to the first movie. But it still doesn't make any sense, because just swinging your lightsaber around at some rocks ain't gonna make you a master lightsaber fighter, but apparently she's really good, because you think those guys that are training Snoke, you know they've had tons of training. You know those guys, like, are master melee fighters, but Rey still beats them, so yeah. And I know a lot of people are like, well, she's used staff all her life. It's like, that doesn't matter. That's like saying I can throw a football real good. That means I'll be the best baseball pitcher, right? No, it's 2 completely different things, but they're both balls, so it's the same. It's like, no. Just because a lightsaber and a staff are both melee weapons doesn't mean you're going to be great with both of them. They're both completely different. You're not going to be great with both. It makes no sense. And then the Force explanation, which is she's powerful in the Force, so she's an amazing lightsaber fighter. Again, makes no sense whatsoever. It's stupid. But yeah, so with Rey, she got like, what, a day of training that like had 3 lessons in it, and that's all she's gotten. She's got like about as much training as Luke had in A New Hope from Obi-Wan. That's like as much training as she's got. But she's still going to be amazing at everything because she's just pure, all-powerful. And I think this movie set up to be Episode 9, like, really, this movie set up Episode 9 to be incredibly predictable because of how J.J. Abrams is already, and because of just the way it set it up to where it's just Kylo's going to die, Rey's going to win, and that's the end of the movie. That's how Episode 9 is going to be. But anyways, I think that's pretty much all I have to talk about. I don't think there's really anything else I missed. I'll probably be doing a video in the future talking about how to fix The Last Jedi, what I would change. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.